Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Slow Blink Anime channel. Today we are talking about all the differences from Attack on Titan Season 4, Episode 10, A Sound Argument, and the manga. This episode covers chapters 107 and 108, and there's a good amount of cut content in this one, guys, so let's get started. We start with a quick anime-only shot of Miss Azumabito on the ship as they arrive at the port. We move to some cut content from the manga of it explaining that Miss Azumabito is the ambassador from Hizuru and that she is the head of the clan. Also, the manga shows everyone greeting each other there at the port, but the anime skips this part. Also, we miss a reaction shot of Mikasa seeing Miss Azumabito and Yelena asking Mikasa if she looks similar to her own mother. Next, the anime jumps to the scene where Mikasa is shown the crest. In the manga, that scene starts with Mikasa being told that she is related to Miss Azumabito, and then it goes into the part about the crest. As Miss Azumabito explains the history of Hizuru, the manga starts that conversation at the table already, but they're still standing in the anime version. Next, as the group waits in the hallway, there are a few cut lines of the scouts talking to Mikasa. They say that Mikasa should be powerful in Hizuru and talk about how she's in the top family there. Now moving back to the table, there's some more cut lines. Miss Azumabito tells Mikasa that she's grateful that she's alive and healthy. Also, she says that the Azumabito will always be waiting for her. And I guess that just means they're waiting for her to come back home to Hizuru. Next, while explaining their meeting with Zeke, there is even more cut content. Zeke tells Miss Azumabito that his mother is a Fritz and that he has royal blood inside of him. He goes on to say that he hid this from Marley the entire time he was a captain of the warriors. She then questions him about his loyalty and he responds by saying his loyalty is to his father's dream. And by saying this, he says that he is a true Eldian restorationist. He explains further about him selling out his parents when he was 7 and all the steps he took to rise through the ranks were all for his plan to finally come to fruition in the end. He did it all by using Marley. Miss Azumabito voices her concerns and then Zeke tells her that his offer will also benefit Hizuru. Moving on, the maneuver gear that Zeke pulls out to show them is different in the anime than it is in the manga, and you can see that here on the screen. Next, when mentioning the iceberg stone in the manga, it shows us an image of it, but in the anime it does not have a visual as it talks about it. The anime then cuts out the end of the conversation. Zeke says that the old King Fritz buried it all underground with the power of the Titans, and that the people of Paradise don't know the value of this resource. Moving on, the anime chooses to make Miss Azumabito lick her lips when thinking about the prospects of attaining the iceberg stone from Paradise. But in the manga, she is drooling and one of her people has to give her a handkerchief to wipe her drool off. Next, when explaining Zeke's 3 requirements during the second one about Hizuru's cooperation, she mentions building up Paradise's military. Some more lines are cut about her telling them about the difficulty of gaining this power and that it involves focusing on education, economy, diplomacy, and increasing their population. Also, she tells them that Paradise is about 100 years behind the rest of the world and that it'll take about 50 years to catch up to them. And in those 50 years, they're going to have to use the rumbling to keep themselves safe there at Paradise. Eren is talking to Hange while in his cell and he is describing how he ate the Warhammer Titan. The only thing I could find is that there's a cut line from the manga of Eren saying that it was an annoying enemy to fight against. There's a few cut lines before the starting point that the anime took, and in the manga they talk about restraining the volunteers and about how Pixis is the best man for the job. Nal also shows some sympathy for the volunteers but is shot down by Roeg. Roeg then says that they've been given a lot from the Marleyans like their wine, and then he goes on to say that he doesn't want them to be free because he thinks that Zeke is really on their side. He continues and says that at any moment Zeke and Eren could mess with their memories since they are subjects of Ymir. Then Nao responds with him questioning if their actions are really the best way to make everyone comply. Roeg says Zeke has a grip on their minds and they start the conversation where the anime begins. Next, when talking about who told Historia that if she's pregnant then she won't be forced to inherit the Beast Titan if she's given birth, there's a panel in the manga of someone in a hood standing by the barn watching Historia, and there's no visual like that in the anime. Moving on, there's another good chunk of dialogue cut from the conversation, but it's not super important. It's them defending Historia and saying that she's also a brave soldier, and another is accusing her of getting pregnant only so Zeke can stay alive longer. Lastly, the scene ends in the anime with the Marleyan going down into the wine cellar, but in the manga, Niccolo is just there on the other side of the door. The scouts are building the railroad, and the first thing that I saw was Mikasa is carrying the metal tracks on one shoulder in the anime, but she carries the wooden planks on both shoulders in the manga version. Next, Jin and Connie discuss the angle that Hizuru is taking to support them. They say that it's for their human rights and that they can provide them resources. Then Hange and Levi arrive. She tells him that the negotiation fell through and that there is a line cut out from Hange saying that there are nations that could help Paradise, but they are considered freaks and no one would take them seriously. More lines are cut of Armin Armin saying that it's like the world wants them to repeat their actions from 100 years ago. Next, while riding the train back, the scouts are having a conversation and there's a bit of cut dialogue from here too. They mention that they will need Hizuru's help while setting up their base in Marley and that there is a meaning behind them surveying the world. When talking about stuff they would bring to the base, there's a line left out from Jean of him saying that Niccolo said that Marley has all kinds of alcohol. A huge thing that was left out is Armin telling them that it's lucky that a lot of the world speaks Eldian, but they're gonna have to be careful about their accents and anytime they have to read. Moving on in the conversation, they are discussing who will inherit Eren's Titan. Mikasa is the first to speak up, but Jean interrupts her. A line is left out from Jean saying that since Mikasa is only half Eldian, then we aren't even sure that she can turn into a Titan. And the rest of the scene plays out the same like in the manga. In the manga, this scene of their conversation starts before the railroad scene and then finishes afterwards. When talking about how Pixis detained the volunteers, Armin says that they probably came up with a plan while they were in hiding there at Marley. And he also mentions that they're being put under house arrest. And this quick line was left out of the anime. Later in the conversation, there is more cut dialogue when Jean is talking to Armin. Armin suggests that just he and Mikasa have a conversation with Eren, and then Jean asks what that's going to do. Jean then brings up how in the past when Eren used the Dina Fritz Titan to activate the Founding Titan's powers, it was Eren's will that was exacted and not Dina's. So he thinks that it would be the same situation if he were to activate the power by using Zeke. This is why Armin wants to be sure that Eren shares their goals and not Zeke's. The anime ends the conversation on a grim note of Armin saying that he will take the Titan by force and give it to someone they trust. In the manga, Mikasa interrupts and says that they still have time, and Armin agrees that they have to prove to everyone that Eren is on their side. That's all the changes I could find in this episode, guys. Let me know if there was anything you noticed that I missed. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more anime content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.